Sagittarius, maybe you're about to be saved from a great fall. But the irony is, the person who shows up to help you this time might also be the one who made you stumble before. Because sometimes accidents don't come with a crash. They come as a familiar look, a familiar hug, and a promise that arrives exactly when it should. Some people don't come back to make you happy. They come back just to see if your heart still softens. I once thought I was being saved by someone, but in the end, what I lost wasn't the relationship, it was myself, like slowly shrinking, little by little, until I could no longer recognize the sound of my own voice in that room. And do you know what the most painful thing is? It's not when someone leaves you, it's when you stay, even though your soul already left a long time ago. Soon, there will be two people entering your orbit. One will feel like light, one will feel like a familiar shadow, but only one of them is truly meant for you. The question is, will you be quiet enough to hear what your heart is really saying? Next, I'll tell you how that collision began and why, if you don't choose the right person this time, you might lose another 5 years of your life, just to relearn a lesson you were meant to move on from. If a name has already surfaced in your mind, maybe you already know what's happening. Sagittarius, there are collisions that don't leave blood, but are strong enough to shatter your soul into pieces. We call that an emotional accident. No screeching brakes, no flashing lights, just a message popping up on your screen, and your entire inner world begins to shake. Sometimes it starts with something tiny, a song playing in a familiar cafe, the exact one you used to hear while riding on the back of someone's bike. A strange dream that jolts you awake at 3 a.m., your heart pounding as if someone's calling your name from another dimension. Or worse, an ex returning with a new promise, just as you finally learned how to stand on your own. You sit in front of the mirror on what seems like an ordinary morning, but your reflection looks unfamiliar, not because you've changed, but because you're standing between two forces. One from a past that refuses to let go, and one from a future stretching out its hand to welcome you. I once heard a story, and maybe you'll see yourself in it. The girl in the story was a Sagittarius. For many years, she loved someone who was never whole, someone who always said, "I'm busy, I'm tired, I'm not ready yet," but also never truly let her go. She left him 3 times, but each time he came back with a few tears and a promise. And she softened. Not because she was weak, but because deep down she kept thinking, if I'm patient enough, maybe he'll change. It's a strange kind of hope, like standing in the middle of a highway watching a car speed toward you and thinking, maybe this time it'll stop for me. But it didn't. One day she discovered the betrayal. It was no longer just intuition, it was undeniable proof. She left, and this time it was for real. And do you know what happened? She began to come back to life. Her back stood straighter. Her voice carried more power. Her eyes held the kind of light that only appears in someone who's fallen to the bottom and climbed back up all on her own. But just as she began to breathe freely again, a message arrived. "I've been thinking a lot. Can we talk?" Emotional accidents don't usually happen when you're weak. They happen when you finally start to grow strong. Because that's when everything old returns. Not to destroy you, but to ask, have you truly learned the lesson yet? Sagittarius, there is a quiet paradox in the journey of growing up. The moment you begin to let go, everything you once begged for comes back, just to test your heart. Maybe it's an ex. Maybe it's someone you once believed would walk beside you forever. Maybe it's just a feeling, a familiar kind of love you still miss when you look at someone new. The universe isn't playing games with you. The universe is testing you. Because you can't fly far if you're still holding hands with what once held you back. I want you to think back to the past few weeks. Have you ever dreamt that you were being chased? Have you ever passed by someone and felt your entire body go cold without knowing why? Have you ever seen a bird take flight at the exact moment your tears began to fall? That's not coincidence. The universe doesn't need neon signs to send you a message. A strange gut feeling is already a warning bell. A new person appearing at the right moment is not an accident. An old one returning just as you've cleaned your heart is not random. And here's the most important thing you need to remember. Not everyone who comes back deserves to stay. Someone may have once loved you with everything they had, but that doesn't mean they still have enough to walk beside you today. Some things come back, just so you know that you've changed. Some things are only here to test you, to see if you've learned to choose yourself this time. If you feel like you're standing between two choices, if one person reminds you of a love that once consumed you, and another makes you feel peaceful, even if you don't yet know how to name that feeling, then maybe this is your accident, a quiet one. But if you choose wrong, it could cost you another 5 years to heal. I've chosen wrong before. I once mistook kindness for love. I once called pity a second chance, and I paid the price, not in pain, but in time. The one thing no one can ever give back to you. So if you're hearing this right now, and your heart begins to go quiet, if a face just appeared in your mind and you don't know why, then I believe you are standing at the doorway of a destiny-changing decision. Next, I'll tell you about the two people, two energies, two completely opposite paths that are about to enter the orbit of your soul. You don't need to know who they are just yet. I can't tell you which one is the right one. But here's what I've learned. If someone makes you shrink yourself piece by piece just to fit into their world, then no matter how much they love you, you won't be able to breathe. If someone's face is already on your mind right now, leave their name in the comments. Not because they need to know, but because you need to see clearly who's standing inside the danger zone of your heart. Sagittarius, love has never been light for you. You don't love for fun. You don't open your heart just because you're lonely. You love like a spiritual journey, searching for truth, for soul connection, and for a kind of love that transcends appearances. And maybe that's exactly why the universe always tests you with the most difficult choices, especially when both people seem right. One of them is the person you once loved deeply, the one who walked beside you through years of tears, effort, and missed chances. They've come back, with the same old eyes, the familiar voice, and the apology you waited so long to hear. They say, "I've changed. I want to start over." They know how to soften your heart without needing many words. And because you are a Sagittarius, your heart is always generous. You want to believe in second chances. You want to believe that love can fix everything, even the mistakes of the past. Then someone else shows up. No warning, no grand entrance, no promises. But something about them makes you feel safe in a way you can't explain. They don't make your heart race from the start. They don't make you lose sleep with longing. But when you speak of your old wounds, they don't interrupt. They don't try to heal you with empty advice. They just sit there and let you be exactly who you are. And then you realize, one touches your memories, the other touches your future. But you have to choose. I know, it's not easy, especially for a heart that's been shattered by loving too deeply. I've heard so many stories from Sagittarians. Someone once told me I thought I was strong enough not to go back, but just one look from them and I gave in again. Someone else said, the new person is kind, but I don't feel the fire. I'm afraid if I love them, I won't feel the same passion I used to. And you know, that's the trap of a wounded soul. We confuse intensity with true love. We believe that if there are no fights, no pain, no tears that make us break down, then maybe it isn't real love. But my dear, real love doesn't hurt you every week and then apologize at the end of every weekend. In so many Sagittarius love readings, one message keeps coming up again and again. You are being tested. The universe is sending you a karmic partner, someone meant to teach you a lesson. And a soulmate, someone meant to walk beside you, if you're ready. One is the ending of a loop. The other is the beginning of a new journey. There was a listener who once messaged me, "Sis, how do I know if they're sincere?" They say they love me. They cried when I left. I can feel their love. I asked her, do you truly feel their love? Or do you just feel guilty for leaving them? Because sometimes we're not really in love anymore. We just can't bear the thought of hurting someone else. And so we stay, not because our heart wants to, but because of guilt, because of memories, because of habit. If you're in that place right now, I invite you to pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, who makes me feel loved without trying so hard? Who lets me be myself without shame? Who makes me believe in peace instead of making me replay the same pain in a prettier costume? You'll be surprised how quickly the answer comes, if you're truly brave enough to listen. Sagittarius is the sign of freedom, of truth, and of the spiritual journey. You're not afraid of losing. You're only afraid of staying somewhere your soul no longer belongs. And right now, you are standing at that threshold. If you choose the person from your past, you might return to a place of temporary safety. There was a listener who once told me she had already written her goodbye letter, folded it 3 times, and placed it beneath her pillow, all because she couldn't walk away from someone who always said he loved her, always apologized after hurting her, but never truly stayed. Every time she tried to leave, he showed up, perfectly on time, right at her weakest moment, right when she started to believe, maybe this time will be different. And that perfect timing was the most dangerous thing of all. She didn't die, but later she told me, what I regret most is not that I wanted to die, it's that I once believed I couldn't live without him. And I share her story with you not to frighten you, but to help you remember, a soft heart can sometimes cost you your soul. If you choose the new person, you'll have to face other fears. The fear that your feelings aren't deep enough. The fear that you don't feel the same spark you did before. The fear that if they're too kind, you might be the one who ends up hurting them. But love, maybe this new person is the only one who doesn't want you to sacrifice anything just to be loved. This is the spiritual lesson the universe is sending you in this reading. Not everyone who arrives at the right time is the right person. The right one is the one who invites you into a better version of yourself. And you can only be saved from an emotional accident if you choose the right person. Sometimes the one who helps you the most is the one who doesn't try to save you at all. Now I want to ask you, do you feel it? Do you have a gut instinct? Which one of the two is truly standing on your side? Leave your answer in the comments below. I'll read every single one, because the choice you make today might just be the beginning of your new life. Sagittarius, you will be saved from the accident, but not in the way you expect. You think an accident is a collision, a loud, violent moment, a burst of pain that ends quickly. But the real accidents happen in silence, slowly, quietly, bit by bit. It's when you start staying silent more often, when you ignore your intuition for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th time, just to preserve a relationship that looks fine from the outside. The accident is when you sit across from them, smiling, nodding, passing the food like a happy couple. But inside, you're no longer you. You think you were saved. Someone showed up at just the right time. But not every right moment comes with the right person. Was it really saving? Or was it karma's grip holding you down again, just long enough to keep you from stepping into the path your soul has waited for? I once read a powerful message in a Sagittarius karmic reading. Not everyone who shows up right on time is your guardian angel. Some are testers. Some are your final exam. Before you step fully into the light, you'll be asked one last time, are you truly ready? A friend of mine, also a Sagittarius, once had a powerful intuition that an accident was coming. It wasn't a car crash. It wasn't illness. It was a chill down her spine, the kind that came the moment her ex returned with that familiar smile and voice. She dreamed that she was being chased. In the dream, she ran and ran endlessly until finally, 2 doors appeared. One was filled with light, and behind it was a stranger's face, warm and kind. The other was cloaked in shadow, and behind it was the man she had once loved to the very edge of herself. But every time she stepped through, she lost who she was. She told me, when I woke up, I still didn't know which door I had chosen. But there was one thing I knew with absolute clarity. If I went back, I would lose everything I had just learned in order to stand again. Sagittarius, this is what you need to hear. You already avoided that accident because your soul was awake enough to step back. But the price you paid was loneliness after turning down something that once felt familiar. It was the emptiness of having no one left to pull you back, not even the wrong person. And sometimes, the very moment when no one tries to hold you anymore is the moment you finally learn how to walk on your own, with feet that have healed in silence. The greatest accident of your life was not someone who betrayed you. It was the moment you betrayed your own intuition. If right now you feel something is just off, if every time you're around someone, your body tightens but you keep forcing a smile, if you are with someone who makes you apologize for the very parts of you that are your essence, then I believe this. Once I felt my whole body quietly tremble just standing next to someone my logic still trusted. No one screamed in my face to get out. But I believe the universe spoke, not through words, but through a feeling. Psychic signs from the universe are not always obvious. Sometimes it's a dream. Sometimes it's the day you forget your phone and miss a text from someone you shouldn't be replying to. Sometimes it's when you pick up the phone to call and feel your throat tighten so you hang up instead. All those small accidents were signs trying to save you from a much bigger one. The universe is never silent with those who are truly willing to listen. And now, you're standing at the crossroads of destiny. You think you've been saved because you chose the other person. But you'll only be truly saved if the next person you choose is the one within yourself. The version of you who no longer has to bow down to keep someone. The version of you who no longer tries to fill the silence with promises that never become real. Because this is the most important part of your lesson. The one who saves you may not be the one who walks with you to the end. Sometimes they're just the one who holds up a mirror so you can see it's time to walk forward on your own. And next, you'll face a truth your soul has been avoiding. A warning from a soul that has already left this world. They're no longer in this realm, but they see clearly what you've been pretending not to. And they will no longer let you stay silent. If you've ever been saved but still felt like you were dying slowly on the inside, please share it in the comments. Because maybe, just maybe, your experience will become the light that helps someone else avoid their own silent collision. Sagittarius, you no longer have to pretend to be strong. You no longer have to keep holding on to something your soul already let go of long ago. There comes a point in life when you no longer wish for the past to return, and you no longer crave a brand new beginning with someone else. You just long for peace. Not the kind of peace found in loneliness, but the kind of peace that feels like stillness in your soul. A kind of deep quiet. The one you once gave everything to find but never truly managed to keep. I understand, because I've been there too. And maybe you are standing there right now. Healing doesn't begin when you enter a new relationship. Healing begins the moment you refuse to return to a place you once called home, but know in your heart is no longer where you belong. There was a woman, 53 years old, who once shared her truth with me. All my life I lived for others, she said. I was a wife, a mother, a daughter-in-law, a good employee. I don't even know who I am without someone to take care of. Her husband betrayed her in her 50s. She used to ask herself, when I needed them the most, why did they walk away? She lost faith in everything, in kindness, in God, in love. But one day she wrote in her journal, I can't control who leaves me, but I can learn how to stop abandoning myself. That was the beginning of her spiritual healing journey. A journey without a map, without anyone to lead the way. But her soul knew exactly where to go. And you, dear Sagittarius, you too are standing at the threshold of your rebirth. No longer the version of you who chased someone down to earn their love. No longer the one who gave endlessly just to feel worthy. No longer caught between two extremes, pleasing others and silently enduring the cost. You're returning, bit by bit. Healing isn't glamorous like people often say. It doesn't look like a hopeful love song. It feels more like a quiet winter afternoon when you walk alone down an old street, and for the first time, you don't cry anymore. Not because you've forgotten, but because you've finally forgiven yourself. Forgiven yourself for softening when you should have walked away. Forgiven yourself for loving too hard. Forgiven yourself for sacrificing too much and believing you didn't deserve a love that was simple, gentle, and whole. You know, healing is a choice. It's choosing to sit with the pain instead of running from it. It's choosing to cry it all out so you don't carry those tears into tomorrow. It's choosing silence in front of the one who hurt you, not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer feel the need to explain who you are. Sagittarius soul awakening almost always begins after a fall so hard you don't think you can rise again. Because only after losing something that cuts so deep do you begin to dig deeper into yourself. I once heard a monk say, sometimes the soul must be crushed so the light can begin to leak through. And you, after everything you've been through, are beginning to leak light now. Quietly, but unmistakably. You don't need to rush to be better. Healing has no deadline. There are no medals for the fastest recovery. The only approval that matters is the one from yourself. If you've ever felt like your whole life was lived for others, like you forgot your dreams, your voice, your essence, like love never arrived unless you sacrificed something first, then maybe this is the moment you begin again, from the beginning, gently, without urgency. One of the deepest truths I've ever heard about emotional healing is this: no one is coming to save you. The one who will save you is the one staring back at you each morning in the mirror. And they're tired of being forgotten for so long. You'll know you're beginning to rise again when you no longer feel the need to retell the old story. You feel grateful that it happened, not because it made you suffer, but because it brought you home. You stop searching for someone worthy of your love. Instead, you start looking for peace. Letting go to heal isn't just about releasing someone else. It's about releasing an older version of yourself, the one who believed pain was the price of love. And once you do that, you'll begin to see no one ever leaves your life by accident. Every person is a teacher. Every wound is a lesson. And if you've made it this far in this message, I believe you are ready to begin a new chapter. Next, I will guide you to a message from a soul who has passed, someone who's been protecting you from things you cannot see. And now, as you've healed enough to truly listen, they will reveal what you need to know, so you never return to the road you outgrew. If you've walked a path like this, please share it in the comments. You may never know. Your story might be the reason someone else chooses to stay. Sagittarius, there is a soul who has been silently watching over you for a long time. They are no longer in this world, but the love they hold for you has never left. It's not romantic love. It's not a physical bond. It's the deepest kind of love there is, the kind that never asks you to change to be worthy of it. And today, now that you're finally calm enough to hear it, now that you've moved through loss, through decisions, through pain, and into your own rebirth, they have one message for you. You don't have to be strong all the time. Just don't abandon yourself again. You've forgiven others before, but have you forgiven yourself? You've loved many, but have you ever loved yourself in the way you've always needed? Stop searching for someone to understand you, because the one who needs your understanding the most is your own soul. That soul who passed may have been your mother, your father, a dear friend, or even a version of you from another lifetime. Someone who once carried wounds like yours, who once made the same wrong choices you've made, and now they only want one thing: for you not to repeat it again. They see the signs you've been ignoring. They know the way you fake a smile, They've seen the tears you cry in silence, and they want you to know no one has truly abandoned you. You've simply wandered away from yourself. But now that you've returned, now that the light has begun to return to your eyes, they smile and whisper, "You've lived enough for others. Now it's time to live for you. Forgive. Move forward, not because you've forgotten, but because you've chosen not to let the past define what's left of your story." If someone has gone from your life but you still feel their presence around you, leave them a message in the comments. They might not read it, but your soul will know that you finally opened your heart to live truthfully one more time. Sagittarius, no one knows how many years it took you to get here. No one counted how many times you stayed silent even when a storm was raging inside you. And I don't know who you'll choose, but if a face has just flashed in your mind, if a name just pulled your heart tight, then maybe your soul is sending you one final warning. Don't rush your answer. Don't force yourself to know what's right just yet. Just don't abandon yourself again. I hope after you turn off this recording, you'll sit in silence for just a few minutes, not to think about them, but to ask yourself, this time, did I really choose me? If you saw yourself in any part of this journey, leave a in the comments below. Not for me to read, but so that you can finally see you are no longer the same person you used to be. And in the next video, if the one you tried to forget returns in a dream, don't be afraid, because this time you'll know how to answer them without losing yourself again.